are you going to find yourself in this weird, wild, wacky world we're in? This is another scene for Darkness in Dublin, the vampire venue. This evening's scene brings us to the Clontarf Castle Hotel, also known as the Tremere Chantry. And our Primogen and Regent is seeking out one of the apprentices of the Dublin Chantry because she has some questions to ask him. Where would Katya find Mikhail? His room, I'm assuming?
Either in his rooms, or if you've given him permission to be there, because he'd have to ask, he might be in the library, depending on whether or not you've given assent.
That would require we had a library.
Every Tremere Chantry should have a library, even if it's one bookcase wedged in the kitchen.
To be fair, most of our books were stolen.
If we don't have a library, we're being Tremere wrong.
Anthony, there is not in fact a library.
Yeah,
Okay,
our library was stolen.
Right. Job number 1, find thief. Job number 2, nail thief to tree. In that case, he'll be in his rooms.
Yeah, that's being worked on at the moment, actually. The whole regaining our library thing. But yeah, Katya would, I assume, know which room is his. Hopefully it wasn't in the wing that got blown up like a month and a half ago. Was it, Evan? Since,
someone get me a coin.
It wasn't. Mikhail lives in the basement.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay, yeah, so it was just Katya's room that got blown up. Yay. So yeah, she would knock on his door. Because she is polite.
You'll hear silence for several long moments. If you have books or blood, come in. Otherwise, please go away. I'm busy.
Mikhail, please let me in.
Oh. Please enter, Madam Regent.
She would go ahead and open the door and step in.
He's sat there, cross-legged, surrounded by a circle of blood he's painted on the floor and seems to be meditating.
I'm not interrupting, am I?
No, I'm just thinking.
Okay. I just had some questions about your sire, if you don't mind.
Please, pull up a chair.
She would actually sit outside of the circle of blood on the floor, cross-legged across from him.
What do you want to know, Madam Regent?
All he had on him when we defeated him was his sword. I assume he had a library, other things that could be useful to the clan.
Madam Regent, may I say something in confidence?
She kind of looks around to make sure none of Lord Stalheim's ghouls are lurking about, because they do that.
Bottles in posh. There is, in fact, no one else in the room.
Good. Okay. Yes, of course.
If there is a god that is good in this world, that library will have burned to ashes.
Well, we can hope, but if not, it falling into the wrong hands could be dangerous.
For them, for whichever poor fool finds his tomes.
Then perhaps we should find it and burn it.
Probably wise. Though I don't expect the Lord or any other higher-ranking member of this clan will pay much attention to what I have to say.
Well, They won't pay attention to you, but I am the regent. They may pay attention to me.
Possibly.
Though,
But I have little hope.
well,
But yes, he had a library. Extensive one. Assuming it's the one I saw back in the Americas.
I honest to God thought you were going to say the colonies. I don't know why. Continue.
Mikhail is Russian.
yes, he is. I assumed so from his name, anyway.
Yep.
Hmm.
He's named after like 2 Russian emperors.
Hmm. We could investigate on our own, or we could take it to Lord Stahlheim, but investigating on our own for now seems to be a better idea. You would have known him better than any of the rest of us. Do you have any clue of where it could be? Where he would have felt comfortable putting his library?
Comfortable was always an odd question with him. My own experience is he liked to discomfort others. A
That
place that
certainly
would
seemed to
make
be true.
any place that would seem unpleasant to the rest of us,
Hmm.
that any normal being would hate.
Hmm.
It would also be wise, if possible, to survey any area through some form of projection, the use of Auspex.
She nods. I have someone who could do that for me.
In addition, I know it's not common, very rare in fact, but do we have anyone, or do you know anyone who has the knowledge of how to summon up spirits? Not creatures of the infernal, I emphasize.
Actually, as it just so happens, I happen to know a rather gifted necromancer who I've recently taken on as my apprentice.
I'm not referring to necromancy, Madam Regent.
No?
In my reading, it's said to be many realms of spirit. I assume
Hmm.
that there's a realm of, well, there must be some realm of spirit who would know something, but there's supposedly so many of them.
Hmm. There is potential there.
I will say something because you were mentioning it. Anthony,
Yep.
one possibility does come to mind. You're not exactly sure if this is the case, but Aishar was an incredibly accomplished necromancer. It is not impossible that he kept his books on the other side of the veil.
Mm,
Just to mention it.
yeah. This necromancer, Madam Regent,
Yes.
do they know how to open a gateway to the other into the Shadowlands?
I don't know precisely what all he's capable of, but I do know he has shown the capability of pulling physical items back from the Shadowlands.
And the ritual site. I assume it was a ritual site we slew Aisha.
Yes, it was in the middle of Phoenix Park.
My advice then would be to check the other side, just in case.
How odd that I hadn't thought of that, but thank you.
And this will seem obvious, but just in case, when you do have the person check the other side, make sure you're standing some distance off.
Probably a good idea, yes.
Anything else I can help you with?
No, but you really should get out of your room more, my dear. I feel like I've hardly seen you since, well, I got this job.
I've been worried.
Understandably so. We've been at war with your sire.
No, it's not being at war that worries me. I was always worried of what would happen if he asked me.
God, you would
And
nod.
whether or not it would take a single question, I don't know.
I understand the complicated bond of having a
Monster.
monster for a sire, yes. In fact, my sire was your sire's protege for quite some time.
Hmm. That almost makes you my niece.
But yes,
Well,
I understand.
there was also always the risk that he might have rescued Evgeny. That would have been unfortunate. Meeting my own brother on the battlefield. But it seems not. So. How did he die, by the way?
Well, that's a interesting question in and of itself. He was put to rest by a salubri.
I'd heard people whisper that the Salubri were a clan again. Is that the case?
Yes,
I
that
might have seen
is how it
gossip.
came about. They earned the trophy boon from our clan, and that was what they asked of us.
Hmm. Hmm. Makes me wonder why they were brought low in the first place. Might have to look into it. Aisha used to say that the Salubri had been soul eaters, but then again, given what he became, hardly an unbiased opinion.
I can't say I've met just the one, and he healed all of us on the battlefield that evening. If not for him, I think several of us, myself, the seneschal, would be dead.
That's interesting. Healing the undead. I've theorized before now about whether or not it's possible to heal through thaumaturgy, accelerate the healing process.
Hmm,
I've been able
interesting
to confirm
concept.
it was possible. Hmm.
Enough research,
Could
and
be
we might
my
just find a
solution.
way.
Yes, might even be able to heal ordinary people, which would be something of a moral gain.
But yes, he was put to rest by a salubri elder.
And you're certain he's dead.
I watched him turn to ash before my eyes.
With respect, Madam Regent, that's irrelevant. I asked if you're certain he is dead.
We're fairly certain. I would have to... It was an interesting battle and a hard-fought victory with many losses.
Hmm.
Somewhere in the distance, you can hear Prince Hennessy shout, "Nothing of value was lost that day."
Shut up, Evan!
Can anyone else hear that echoing?
You're a terrible person, Evan.
Somehow I can hear the very cosmos shouting the word douchebag. Hmm. I would be concerned that he might have found some means to return. After all, some of the things he could do were supposedly outside of kindred ken.
That's why I wanted to find his library.
Hmm.
Destroy any chance he had of coming back.
Hmm. His sword. Who has it?
His sword? Lord Stalheim has it.
Hmm. Do you know how it's being kept?
I do not. The last I saw it was when I presented it to Lord Stalheim after the battle was done.
Hmm. I suggest you find out and see if you can get similar defenses put around an object and see if you can break through it. If you can, then Lord Stalheim might need to be tested. That sword sounds like the perfect object for a vessel.
That is worrisome.
From what I understand of the underworld, an object held by a person at the point of death, especially if it's a violent death and that person is a powerful being, wouldn't be unusual for it to become a fetter for their soul. And if they're smart enough to have created ways to return, not if it were me, I'd want to make it so the spirit waited in the sword. Then, as soon as someone of sufficient rank was given it, poof, into their form.
Well, that's
That's certainly what I'd suspect, anyway.
a terrifying prospect. Oh dear.
I was regent of New Orleans for quite a number of years. I saw some of his worst successes, at least the worst successes of the last 200 years. So it falls within his character.
She nods. For now, we'll keep this between the two of us. I
Of
will
course.
look into ensuring that Stalheim is still Lord Stalheim.
Mm. And if it should prove that he's not,
Well,
how do you intend to take down the Lord of Clan Tremere?
that is the question, isn't it?
Hmm. Always worth considering.
I do thank you for your time.
Of course, Madam Regent.
She smiles a little bit. We're alone. You can call me Katya.
Da, Katya. You actually hear him switch into full accent.
I will say this, she speaks with a rather thick German accent. I'm not
Oh
going to
yeah,
attempt it because
yeah.
I'm terrible at accents, so.
Mikhail's accent is always very soft because he was in the Americas for about 100 years.
Hey, they might have, had crossover time when she was regent of Orlando.
Yeah, he hasn't been back to his native Russia, well, since before the Russian Revolution. So
Mm, fun stuff.
yep, Saga Baba Yaga and everything she stands for.
But yeah, Katya will stand up and kind of brush her pants off.
One more thing, Katya.
Yes.
If you get the chance, find and you discover, well, any artifacts of his you do discover, have them all checked and held in a sacred place, ideally a consecrated church.
She would nod. Well, I think I know just the place.
Very good. До свидания.
Good evening, Mikhail. And with
You
that, she
nod,
will
and we'll sit back.
walk out of the room. I think it's a good place to end our scene. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another scene for Darkness in Dublin. See you next time.